We spent 4 years rebuilding what was practically a wreck, just so we could move aboard and sail around the world. Our first mission, to make our way up the Brazilian coast. We left the shipyard back in the south, and about 300 miles later we are finally dropping anchor at a place that's been on our bucket list since forever. Paraty, a town that feels frozen in time, with cobblestone streets, a history of gold, whispers of pirates, and a few surprises waiting for us ashore.
Life is all about balance. You can have fun diving and kite surfing and sailing, but you also have to do some unpleasant stuff, which actually was Guilherme's idea. So we're going to leave these two tourists on deck. Luik's actually started on the other side. Guy's already down there, and we're going to try and get that waterline clean. All the rest I did just before leaving, and it's looking pretty clean still. After a lot of hard work, it was time for some fun, which ended up being a lot of hard work too, but still fun. I've always loved the idea of fetching your own food, the romanticism of it, especially the thought of picking a fresh coconut straight from the tree. In the movies, they make it look effortless, but in reality, it's anything but simple. After effortlessly, and yes, that's sarcasm, collecting 5 coconuts, one for each of us, and digging a few holes in the sand, it's time to pull up the anchor and head to our next stop. This one's been on our sailing bucket list forever.
I'll take it then.
It's known for being pretty untouched, with gorgeous beaches, clear water, little islands, and you guessed it, even more coconut trees for us to practice on. As all good things must eventually come to an end, after 3 weeks of adventures and laughter, our friends had to head back to their lives, leaving us with a little cloud of sadness. But what a time we had together, climbing through the jungle to find waterfalls, diving into crystal clear waters, pushing through harsh weather at sea, and even catching a boat show complete with an air show above us. We shared incredible meals, dropped anchor in some of the most beautiful spots, and hiked trails that gave us views we'll never forget. But you know what they say, no rain, no rainbow. It's definitely worth it. Nice.
It's good, I want it further.
We really can't complain about how Paraty has welcomed us. I mean, a double rainbow crowning Yabá, that's about as good as it gets. And it must have brought us luck too, because we landed our biggest catch yet, a croaker. So maybe all that bad luck didn't actually come from having too many bananas on board after all. We'd already heard so many amazing things about this town, so we figured it was time to hop ashore and see what Paraty had in store for us. Rumour has it, the streets here were built to flood on purpose. There's a famous local drink with quite a taste. A little gold and pirate history tucked away, and cobblestone roads that turned out to be a challenge for a very unexpected reason, so let's go and find out. Welcome to the historic centre of Paraty. And to explore this town, we're not alone, as there is a soon-to-be birthday girl on board. Her parents came to visit and celebrate with us. One of the strangest and most interesting things about Paraty is that these streets were designed to flood. Built right at sea level in the 1700s, the Portuguese deliberately made the cobblestone streets slightly lower so that during the full moon and new moon, the tide would rise and gently flow in. This wasn't just poor planning, I think it was just really brilliant urban design, because if you think about it, in those days, they didn't really know or care about what happened with the trash that ended up in the sea. The seawater worked as a natural cleaning system, washing away garbage, animal waste, and even helping keep the mosquitoes at bay. In colonial times, it made the city healthier. Today, it makes Paraty magical. Every so often, you can watch the sea slip silently into town, covering the cobblestones with a thin sheet of water. You stroll along the sidewalks while the tide flows through the streets like canals. It almost feels like Venice, only a bit more tropical, a bit more colonial, and unmistakably Brazilian. Twice a day this town floods with the high tide. I think today or even tomorrow might be the highest tide this phase, and we're just wading through the water. The dinghy looks like it's parked on the streets. That's only because I could get so close to the high tide, otherwise there was no way I could get the dinghy there. Come on, in. Go. This is so interesting. I don't know what's pavement and sea anymore. If you were to walk from there to here, you just plump go straight down, because here is sea and there is pavement, but who would know? You can see who the locals who park nice and high up, and you can see who's rented a car and doesn't know about the tides. I've seen also, learned from the locals. So as you're arriving, you just throw a stern anchor until you're close enough to tie the bow tethering line to, I don't know, in this case, a traffic sign. Usually it's a little boulder or something, but that's quite interesting. And there are lots and lots of pathways. You have to follow the flags and the guidelines, but when the tide is this high, it really doesn't matter. I've got the engine tilted up a little bit, just so it's a little less deep, and you just go straight over everything. On my walk with the dogs, I saw finally in action this crane. Now you always have to follow the green and the green and the red flags that are over there. And I always saw this caterpillar crane on a little mud mount. I know it's dredging. I just didn't know if it actually floats or if it's just got those water tanks next to it, air tanks next to it in case it needs to float. I just saw it in action today, and it's literally just a floating caterpillar maneuvering its way around, just creating space for these boats to come in and out. I know you can make stuff float by adding some air tanks next to it, some cushions and so on, but the weight of this caterpillar must be immense, and I just couldn't see when it was up on that mount being stored that it would float having those two tanks next to it, but apparently it does, and it's using just a digger. It's using the digger to just move its way around.
of those to the bow of Yabá. Being in Paraty has been quite a humbling experience because we are so used to having a unique boat, but here we are just one in a million. Okay, look, I'm not up for the decorations on Yabá, but a water slide would be fun. Like, wouldn't you love to come out of Davy Jones' mouth and go straight to the sea? This shape of boat that is Yabá, it's called schooner here in Brazil, and all of them here were original schooners with sail rigging. Most of them still have their original wooden masts. Some were replaced with fiber because they're just decoration now. But these boats were the trading boats back in the day, and that's exactly what Yabá was too.
Size doesn't matter. We have one behind us called Estrela da Manhã's Morning Star. It has 3 original wooden masts and it's the biggest schooner in Paraty. So you can only imagine having 3 gaff-rigged sails on there and probably 2 foresails. Back in the days, to propel or to move the boat, the heavier the boat, the more sail was needed. So this one is the biggest one and has 3 big wooden masts. And of course, because it's the biggest one, it has to have the biggest dinghy. That dinghy is about, what is it, 25 feet? 30 feet? It's insane. We had the big schooners over at the end of the pier, which were really, really cool, but have a look at the diversity in shapes or colors of these small tourist boats. They just take people out to different islands and stuff. As this is such an island-dense area, these things are out and in every single day.
One of the first things that you notice when you are in Paraty are these colorful colonial houses. Each door and window frame was painted in bright colors, and back in the day, the colors actually showed who lived inside. Like, blue would be for fishermen, green for the merchants, and yellow for the wealthy family. Today, it is more about the charm, but it gives you a little window into history. The center of Paraty has 4 churches, and each one of them was built for a different group in society. For example, this one behind me, the Igreja de Santa Rita, was for freed slaves, while the Igreja Matriz was for the wealthy elite. So walking through the churches here is almost like stepping into Brazil's social history.
I'm getting rid of the aluminium ones. For those of you who like treasure and gold, there's also a little bit about that over here. Paraty used to be the final stop of the Gold Trail, a route that started in the mines of Minas Gerais and ended here by the sea. From here, gold was shipped straight to Portugal. Now imagine these streets just one day filled with wagons and mules carrying bars or nuggets of gold. Why not anymore, eh?
The good old days.
And if you're wondering why the streets are so bumpy, that's original Portuguese stonework. Locals sometimes joke that Paraty invented the 4-wheel drive, because walking here can feel like an adventure on its own.
These cobblestones are quite irregular. You really need to be walking, paying attention. But apparently, that was made on purpose so the carriages wouldn't go too fast and avoid accidents. So the design here, most things that look like it could be a mistake, like flooding the town, was actually very thoroughly thought about. The shame about it is that we end up looking a lot down instead of up to all these cool things, like those tiles up there. They're even painted, which is really nice, because we really don't want to trip, mainly after having some caipirinhas or gemados and cachaças. You really need to focus where you're stepping.
Paraty is known as the birthplace of one of Brazil's most famous spirits, the cachaça. In colonial times, the sugarcane liquor was so important that Paraty itself became the slang for cachaça across Brazil. There are still artisanal distilleries around town today, and their most iconic flavored cachaça is based on a novel, Gabriela, written in 1958 by Jorge Amado, one of Brazil's most celebrated authors. That is also the origin of one of the most iconic cocktails of Paraty, which mixes cachaça Gabriela with passion fruit and lime juice. A perfect balance of sweet, sour and spicy. If not for the historic sites and the cobblestone roads and all the other less important stuff, one thing that you have to do when you come here is try this. I don't know, I'm going to try it and then I'll tell you if it's worth it. Yeah, definitely. Oh, like cinnamon and clove flavours. Oh. We going?
This is an expo of all the shipwrights of the region. We can see a little bit of the story of it and also a little maquette. And we might try to find some of this. Paraty was once one of the richest ports in Brazil, but it lost its importance when the gold trade moved elsewhere. Lucky for us, that meant the city froze in time. So today we get to explore an almost perfectly preserved colonial town.
This city was once the hotspot for the gold trade between Minas Gerais and Portugal. To avoid the pirates that were lurking off the coast here, the ships would take inland routes that no one knew about and come out at Angra dos Reis before sailing out into sea. That's why this region is filled with legends and hidden wrecks, and who knows, we might even go and follow some of these routes that they did and try and find our own treasure. These vibes here are just piratey, treasury, and unexplored. Walking through these streets, I'm thinking pirates must have hidden treasures, or they've hidden treasures from pirates. So maybe like by lifting or removing this stone, or this is like a secret compartment. It could be anywhere that no one knows about.
Lottie, in this house lived the Prince of Brazil.
When we arrived sailing here, we saw layers and layers of mountains, which was spectacular. You got the close range, then you got bigger mountains behind and so on. And I just found out that until the 70s, the 1970s, Paraty was only accessible by sea because there was no way of getting past those mountains. And it was only in the 70s that they made routes from here to Rio and Sao Paulo and stuff. So that's why the city itself is so preserved, because you just couldn't get here. We decided to come to Paraty at night to see what was going to happen, and I am amazed how it got almost even more colorful.
It is full of life. All bars, restaurants are open, the shops are still open, and nightlife is just as good as day life.
I say we're going to walk around because there are loads of little cachaça distilleries, that we still have to visit and do some sampling. Tangerine. This here was a stop that we wanted to do with the boat. We had a million opportunities to get here before, but we said we're not, because it's gonna be one of these stops we do while sailing, and it was so worth waiting.
I'm so happy to be here. It's a place that I met when I was 2 years old, so it's really, really special to be back. And it still looks the same as I remember, which is incredible. I want to know, what are you most excited about for the upcoming days and weeks on this region? Because I know exactly what I am.
Okay, say yours first then.
I shouldn't be very proud of my answer because this place is so full of culture and so many different things to see. But after seeing those wrecks, I really want to go diving and finding them. That's what I really want to do.
My answer might have something to do with diving, but I want to find treasure.
You want to find
Whether
treasure?
it's a coin that we saw in the museum, or a barrel,
tooth?
gold tooth, or a skeleton where I can pull the gold tooth out and a hike in the jungle, like Indiana Jones style. I don't know.
Okay, we are in Brazil, but it's not like that. We're not in the Amazon jungle, we're in the Atlantic jungle.
Don't ruin my fun. That's what I'm excited for. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. This town is epic. If you do end up coming here by boat or wherever, it's the perfect mixture, I believe, between preserved culture and not too much tourism, but still so much to do.
And stunning nature, which is incredible, and really kind people. It's all of the best.
And you can anchor, honestly, you can look at the map, throw a dart, and wherever it lands, you can anchor, and you'll probably be in a sheltered area.
From any wind.
From any wind and near a nice beach.
So yeah, welcome to Paraty, and we really hope that you're going to enjoy exploring this region with us, because we know that we are going to enjoy it.
Now, this is only the beginning. There's so much to see. Thank you so much for watching, and see you guys next week. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to just give that like button a little click, and subscribe to follow the rest of our journey.
Did you know subscribing to the channel is free? So just click that button. That will make us very happy.
What's not free is going into town and drinking more cachaça.
That is actually free.
It is. Oh shit.